What up, you guys? It's Blackwing 2040. Welcome to another video. Now, this video is going to be a retrospective review of all the 90s Super Sentai, since I basically reacted and reviewed them all here on the channel. So I just want to talk about the 90s Super Sentai together as a whole. And over time, as I watch some of these Sentais, I've seen twice, some 3 times, some more than others. But I'm starting to realize something, that the 90s Sentai, there was a lot of hiccups in the road for this decade. And I always thought, the 90s was like top tier for Sentai. But apparently there were a lot of hiccups, like truly a lot of hiccups. So let's start off with the first of 1990, which is Fiveman. Not a great start to the decade. However, I'll give it props for giving us the first ever sibling team of Rangers, something that was never done before. And also, this team of Rangers are a group of teachers, siblings, and also teachers. But I understand at the time, the writer of this particular season, he's written from Goggle 5 all the way to Fiveman at this point. That's a strong and very long tenure as a showrunner for Sentai. But I understand by this point, he was already just like, can't do this anymore. So that's understandable. But Fiveman as a show was definitely a weak link. Heavy weak link. Now, that can't be said for the show that came after it, Jetman, a show that came out strong with a lot of flash and substance, a strong team, the first full team that is a bird theme, and also a very good story and a good love triangle story told between the heroes, and somewhat of a love story between the villains. But again, if you know Sentai, if you're just joining into the fandom, or you've been in the Sentai Toku fandom for a while, you guys know how much praises Jetman gets, and it really deserves it. It's really that good of a show, and I cannot deny that at all. However, the show after that, Zyuranger, some things that it does get, being the first dinosaur themed season, the first season to give us our first official 6 Ranger, but they decide to kill him off. But again, Zyuranger's problem is that, I get it, it's a dinosaur themed show. It adds a lot of fantasy and mystical elements to the Sentai franchise, stuff that really we haven't seen before, because before this, Sentai was always doing sci-fi or sometimes spy-themed or military-themed stuff. So I give Zyuranger credit where credit is due. But with Zyuranger, they catered very heavily to the kids. And it's seen very much throughout every single episode, where they have a kid of the week in every single episode. And that's one thing I couldn't really stand about this show. It just couldn't do much. However, the show after it, dairanger, going right back to the martial arts elements of Sentai, because the first martial arts Sentai that they ever done before was Masked Man. And I like how they went back to martial arts with this. And this is the theme of this show, it's the second martial arts Sentai. They decided to use Chinese mythology themes with this show, and it is so good. Can't really be said much about the ending, though. The ending doesn't stick the landing, unfortunately. But dairanger as a whole itself, the show is peak. Amazing. Beautiful. Definitely worth the watch. Now, the show after it, Kakuranger. Kakuranger is very fascinating, especially with it being the first ever Japanese-focused show, with being ninjas, Japanese folklore, and just going on with the aspect of the themes of ninja and ninjutsu. Very brilliant type show. It has its moments. It's very wonky, if I would say. I feel like it doesn't know what to be in the beginning, and I feel like the issue with Kakuranger is that some characters get focus, but not everyone gets the right kind of development. Not everybody. But it's okay, though. Kakurangers, it's okay. It's just like in between of just like raw moments, but kind of mid in certain areas. Now, the show after that, ohranger. Ohranger is a very tight spot because the show had to dim itself down due to real world events that occurred in Japan at that time. So I understand why they had to dim the show because of a terrorist attack that happened in that time. I will say it is the second ancient civilization based season. I think the first being Goggle 5. But again, action wise, cool, but story wise and theme wise, it had to tone itself down, and unfortunately, it suffered massively. I wish it could have been better, but Toei had to do what they had to. The show next, Carranger. I like Carranger for to a certain extent. Yes, it's comedic. It's supposed to build off of that, tone shift that they had to deal with in ohranger. Here they went no hold barred with the comedy and the wackiness, and just the overall tone of the show is just straight up wacky. And even that, it could be good to a certain extent. Carranger can be serious at times, but not all the time. I understand the show has to rely on the silliness to keep it going. It's the second car themed season of Super Sentai, but just the comedic tone, sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can just be overall annoying. Now, Megaranger. This is where Sentai starts to find its footing in the 90s. When you watch Megaranger, or better, if you go from Carranger and you go to Megaranger, you start to see a total difference, a straight tone shift. The comedy is there, but it's not all in your face. The story is there, and it's the complex characters between the heroes and the villains. It's there, and I like that. So the fact that Sentai was able to bounce back with Megaranger is great to me. Really, really good. Now on to Gingaman. Gingaman starts off strong, but it starts to get very muddy in the middle and very confusing in the ending as well. Like I said, it starts off strong, but it suffers right in the middle. And sometimes Sentai has that problem where they start off strong. Once they get into the middle, it's just like, are we going up or are we going down? And that's the issue sometimes with these 90s Sentai shows. Not all, just some. And Gingaman is a straight focus of that. One thing I do appreciate, they do add some nature themes within this show. And of course, some more fantasy mystical elements to it. But again, the characters, half of the characters are great. But it's just like, it's that middle portion of Gingaman that just makes it very, very muddy. And the last show of the 90s, Go-Go 5. The second sibling team and the first Sentai show to use rescue professionals. This was a good way to end the 90s. I'm just being very honest. I think Go-Go 5 was a great end to 90s Super Sentai overall. And the family drama between the heroes and the villains, I think, in my opinion, was pretty solid. It worked great. And it has a very good overarching story to tell, especially with the development of the heroes within the show. So I feel as though like the 90s Sentai, it's not the best. It has some strong points, but it's not up there as one of the best eras or the best decades of Sentai as a whole. So even though it didn't start off strong, it did end on a strong note, in my opinion. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What is your thoughts on the 90s Super Sentai as a whole? Like, what do you think was its strong suits? What did you think they could have improved on? And what was your favorite things about it? Let me know in the comment section below. I will be doing another video like this whenever I complete whenever the 2000 Sentais are finished and reviewed here on the channel. I will definitely do a complete retrospective of the 2000 Sentai, and I will also be doing these for the first Heisei era of Kamen Rider. So whenever those reviews are up, I will definitely do a full-on retrospective review of each decade or era of 10 of the shows of Rider and or Sentai. So with that being said, folks, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. And as always, I am Vengeance, I am Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden.